everyone dreams of having your first author publication in like Cell, Science, Nature. And you want to be the next big PI in like a prestigious school like a Harvard School of Medicine or Yale or Princeton. And I think I pretty much have to be honest, I also started with the same sort of mindset. But probably in a couple of years or so, I started realizing that I do not enjoy writing a lot. I do not enjoy writing scientific grants. And when I used to talk to my PI and others, I realized that that's going to be a major chunk of your job as a PI, in any university.
Welcome to the PhD talk show by BioPatrika. I am Pushpam Kesri, today's host, and today we have Arvind Goswami, who's working as a principal molecular biologist in ImmTune Therapies. Hello, Arvind.
Hey, hi, Pushpam.
So in this talk show, actually, we are focusing on the journey. Like I know right now you are working as a principal molecular biologist, but before that, there is an entire journey which is hidden most of the times. So we want to focus on that journey. So first, we want to talk about like how was your career journey, like how was your journey in education?
Okay, yeah, sure. Yeah. Again, thanks a lot for having me in this talk show. Really a privilege to talk to you and the team. Yeah, to start with, I did my master's in virology, and this was a course that had recently, at that time, started in 2008. And so this was an ICMR funded course, basically world-class infrastructure and a lot of focus on how do you sort of approach diagnostics and handle viral samples. It's very important, a knowledge that is sort of lacking. And so I think they tried to fill the gap. So moving on, then I pursued my PhD at the Indian Institute of Science in Bangalore, a wonderful campus. And then, after a very topsy-turvy career with a lot of learning, of course, in PhD, then I moved on to Yale School of Medicine, which again opened my eyes to a very, discovery-based approach, postdoctoral research, I would say. Had a wonderful time over there. And come 2018, I decided to return back to India, came back to Bangalore, and there I joined the Biocon group of companies. Initially, I was associate scientific manager in the molecular biology and cell engineering group. And then within the campus, we had this small startup coming up in 2020. And that's where I decided I think I would be excited to be part of that. So got interviewed and then got selected in the antibody engineering group, where again I majorly played the role of molecular designs and helping the team with that. And then very recently, I mean, less than a month old now, I have decided to explore the startups over here in the Europe. So I've joined a company called ImmTune Therapies in Stevenage, that's in the UK, a 20-minute drive from London. So hoping for another exciting opportunity out here, and let's see where it takes me.
Yeah, that's great to know. So it seems that in your career, you have a career and your education also, like you have taken too many, like there are so many transitions. So first of all,
Yeah.
I want to focus on the journey of PhD. Like what was something which motivated you for your PhD?
Yeah, I think I mean, if I look back, probably in my MSc days, when I was just learning about virology and the viral and host interactions, I think that really got me fascinated. And even if I, to be honest, like the molecular biology, the DNA replication and stuff really got me thinking. And I felt like as a biologist, one needs to visualize things and then ask the right questions. So I think that sort of thought process was there in my mind, and it was very clear that I should go on to pursue a PhD. And yeah, then things clicked at the right time, and so I went on to register and then get into a PhD program. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great to know that there was a enthusiasm for science which you pursued, and even after your PhD, you did quite a few years of postdoc. So after PhD, when you were doing the postdoc, like what was something which motivated you for that next transition, like in postdoc, compared to other opportunities or something?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, very good question. Yeah, so while I was winding up my PhD, again, it was very much science driven. So I was working on certain, basic disease, so like Parkinson's and other diseases. And one thing that really intrigued me was the cell type signaling that was happening at that time. I mean, how does the body, for an essential protein like a chaperone, which is a part and parcel of every other cell type, why do only certain cell types like the neurons in Parkinson's disease respond and not the other, like the skin cells or the heart cells? What's going on? So that's how I had started exploring that, is there any lab which could, help me give this opportunity? And I had I was trying to be aware of what is out there in the field, who are the scientists that are working on it, and exactly that's how I got came across an article which had these questions posed in the discussion section, and then I wrote a statement of purpose to the PI, and he was very happy to have someone take up that sort of a question, and that's how eventually got invited to join his lab.
That's a very interesting and exciting story, frankly speaking.
Yeah, thanks.
So after your postdoc, then I mean, after that you decided to come to industry, right? So what kind of thought process? What was your thought process like, which went behind, and you thought like these are the things which are important, and this is the transition I want to do.
Excellent. Yeah, I think it's very important. I think that's a phase where, to be honest, when I started as a postdoctoral researcher, everyone dreams of having your first author publication in like Cell, Science, Nature. And you want to be the next big PI in like a prestigious school like a Harvard School of Medicine or Yale or Princeton. And I think I pretty much have to be honest, I also started with the same sort of mindset. But probably in a couple of years or so, I started realizing that I do not enjoy writing a lot. I do not enjoy writing scientific grants. And when I used to talk to my PI and others, I realized that that's going to be a major chunk of your job as a PI, in any university. Instead, I was enjoying more sort of giving presentations, working along with a team, and at the same time being a part of science. I didn't want to give away the scientific passion and the energy that I was carrying. And so I started exploring, should I go into teaching or should I join an industry? And I decided to explore my first luck with industry, and that's how I came to know about LinkedIn. It was, I think, very popular. I mean, it is still today as well. That's a great platform where you can sort of advertise yourselves, and that just opens up so many opportunities. And so I would highly recommend, if someone is exploring jobs, LinkedIn, and of course networking. Because I still remember in one of the workshops, one of the questions that the anchor or the hostee was asking every one of us is, okay, so you guys are all postdocs. You think you'll get a job? And our answer was yes. But then he told, I'm so sorry to say, that's not the fact. You have to really build a network. You have to be very active. You have to really sell yourself out into the field because it's very competitive. So I think these are all very good suggestions that I received at that point. And yeah, and of course, my inclination towards teamwork, towards handling a team, I think I thought industry would be a good starting point, and I do not regret it as of today that I made that decision.
Actually, you talked about so many interesting points. Like, first of all, I think the one of the things messages I'm getting from you is like you acknowledge the fact that you don't enjoy writing. Many times, we are so rigid in our own world that we don't acknowledge that there are some limitations within ourselves which kind of hinders us for the career journey, for the next transition. So that is a great
Right.
learning point. I think I'm also learning from this, and so many other viewers also would be learning. And the
Okay,
second
great.
part is you mentioned that collaboration and networking. So these are so important these days, whether we are in academia or actually in industry. I mean, it matters the most, but in academia also, these things are so important.
Very true. Very true. Yeah.
So from there, then you went back to India and joined Biocon, right? So how was that transition from like academia to industry, and especially like application and interview process when you are in abroad?
Yeah, yeah, sure. I think as I said, LinkedIn was my starting point. So I was super active on LinkedIn, and I would also highly recommend, if you're very serious about switching and say coming from a postdoc to an industry, just get your premium activated so that start your resume starts flashing there to more HRs and recruiters. I think that would be a good starting point, and of course, then try to get in touch with different people. So, and then I got a call from Biocon group of companies. They were basically looking for someone who could lead a team. and the focus was to develop a new cell line platform. So the first, there were, I think, couple of interviews that did go through, and usually I can tell you that, of course, they do have certain questions on the technical part, but the emphasis is largely on your soft skills. How do you handle situations? How do you sort of how have you reacted, or how have you handled pressure situations in the past? What is your strategy? How do you communicate with the team? And how do you sort of respond to situations when you're cornered? I think that sort of personality they try to really extract from you during your process. And once they feel confident, yeah, this person is I think probably right there in terms of attitude. Because I think, in the scientific world, there are so many ways that you and me can learn. It's just about the mindset and the attitude. So if we have the right mindset and attitude, I think it opens up a ton of opportunities, and then one can handle the job very easily, I would say, especially after a very sort of thought-provoking and a lot of hard journey through PhD and postdoc. I would say industry would be relatively easy in terms of what you're handling, but the mindset and the approach is very important.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to summarize, because I think soft skills are very important. And as you pointed out, these are some of the skills which we require a lot in industry. So, like when we are thinking about soft skills, do you think these are some things we should always focus while we are doing PhD? If someone is listening to you right now, who's a PhD student?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think it is very, very important. Also, I think my a very simple piece of suggestion based on my introspection. When I see back, it's like, don't try to have a golden path already defined in your career. It's not going to happen, to be honest. Just self reflect almost on a weekly, or in fact even at least a monthly basis, and really ask yourself, be honest with yourself, what is it that you really like? I mean, if you think you are good at writing, then just follow. There are careers, there are, talk to those people, get in touch with those people, they will guide you better. If you think, no, you're good at explaining things, you can engage students, go for teaching. But on the other hand, if you feel that you could be very good at having your own ideas, maybe you could be an entrepreneur to start off with, right? And then on the other hand, if you feel you are like a more of a team person, you can solve problems in a very short timeline, with hard deadlines, then maybe industry is the cup of tea for you. So it's very important to self reflect at every stage of your career. It's never too late. Some people might have already seen through their PhD, but I would say, just be honest. Just ask yourself, what are you good at and what are you really enjoying at the end of the day. If you know these sort of answers, then I think it all automatically gives you the path forward, and then you can take it from there.
Yeah, I think to summarize this, I feel like it's very important to be flexible, because oftentimes we have thought so much and planned so many things that we are not flexible. And this actually
Yeah,
doesn't help in long run, because we are not thinking about all the
absolutely.
parameters. Things change.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Very much, very much.
So the other thing I wanted to ask you, from your PhD, except the soft skills, what are the some of the skills which you took from your PhD, which helped you a lot in your industry position?
Okay. Yeah. So I had learned a lot of basic biochemical techniques, and a lot of molecular biology. Did a lot of mutations and truncations and stuff. A lot of PCRing stuff, cloning, inducing protein expression. So I think these are, because at the end of the day, industry is, say, in the first leg that I worked with, industry was a product based company, right? So they are trying to make a product. And when you are trying to make a product, mostly these are recombinant proteins. So they were on the lookout of someone who has the know-how of how do you get started with such basics, including transfection, designing the molecule, checking the sequence, optimizing the expression and stuff like that. So it's very basic biology and biochemical techniques that I think I had acquired during my PhD. I think that really helped me to confidently handle these sort of projects, and of course take it from there.
Yeah, I think because when we are talking about these skills, right, soft skills are important, but hard skills are also as important as the soft skills. So I wanted to just know, if someone is looking for a molecular biology role, what kind of things they would be really digging into. sometimes we can often learn these techniques while we are in PhD, but not after that.
Yeah, sure. Great.
So you joined Biocon like as in a big company, and after that you moved to Biofusion, and now you are in ImmTune. Both of them are startups. So like, how is your experience in these startups compared to a big company like Biocon?
Yeah, I think so. Biocon is you're right, absolutely right. It's a big name in the field, and especially in Asia, everyone knows it. Biocon is a group of companies where there are multiple verticals. You have multiple departments, and largely what you have to do is, as an individual, you have to have the necessary skill sets and knowledge to solve your part of the problem. For example, developing a cell line, right? So you don't have to worry about how are you going to sustain the cell line viability. I mean, at least on paper, you're going to focus on what things you have to do, because there are other departments or verticals that will help you out with that. You can of course reach out to them, I mean, the culture is great, so you can talk to other people and help them out as well as learn from them. But I would say, since this is a typical sort of a defined role that you have in a big company, as against when you move to a startup, I think that this is, at least in my opinion, it just opens up a world of opportunities, because you can be as dynamic, as flexible as you want. You can be the person who is going to set up the lab. You're going to ask, like, how many instruments do we need, managing the budget. From there, you are going to be a part of filing patents. So, and yet on one day you are talking to a junior, an intern who has not seen industry. On the other day you are talking to the CEO of the company and presenting your stuff. So I think it's a very, very dynamic structure. The timelines are very, you have to stick to timelines in a startup, because sustaining and thriving in a startup is very difficult. But on a personal note, I actually enjoy these challenges, because it really allows me to really use my, in even the subtle skill sets in each of these areas, and then try to improve on them. And of course, I have to be honest here. One day I see myself as an entrepreneur, so I wanted to sort of hang out with young startups and entrepreneurs, so that I can learn from them the business skills, and how did they mold themselves from being a scientist to an actual company owner. So that's how the journey has been, and that's where I think the learnings have come from so far, and a lot to learn in the future, near future.
Yeah, that's great summary actually. So I have one more question based on that actually. So when there's application process, right? What's the typical application process like in a startup?
Yeah, sure, definitely. I think it's quite intense. It definitely, I mean, the first round is basically a behavioral sort of, right? They just want to see you as a person. When I'm speaking to you, do you see the energy in me? Are you really, really ready for the job? I mean, they don't want to know my history and what I've done in the past. That's okay. That will come eventually. But at the first outset, they want to see, have I really read through the job description? Have I really worked and prepared myself for the interview? Am I really serious about the job? Because if the job is describing that they want someone, a molecular biologist, but say I like microscopy, there's no point in me talking about microscopy to them. That's not going to help. They have to feel justified that yes, this is. Once that they see through, then I think the second round is usually they want to know what have you done in your previous career, and they would like typically a presentation, a PowerPoint presentation, where again you have to keep it very precise. You don't have to again go through the entire your thesis. Please don't do that. Just stick to the job description relative questions and see what skill sets did you acquire to really give them the confidence that you'll be able to solve the problems when they will be looking for someone, right? Then the third round is usually they could ask you give a situation, or ask you a designing question, like, hey, we want to really fish out some of these clones. What's the best strategy that you could think of? So there, they're really asking the question, because it's a startup. In a startup, everyone has a thinking cap. There are no rules here. No one is going to come and tell you that, hey, you have to do this experiment. It's rather you have to go and tell the CEO or the founder of the company that, we have this problem. We have three solutions. The fastest is A, the cheapest is B, and the C is sort of in between both. So which one do you think we should take? And then you have to provide solutions to that. So I think it's a very different mindset that they do. And then finally, of course, there's like a salary discussion that they happen. And you have to be frank. You have to do some market research, try to understand what's the average salary that's being paid in the field, and then answer appropriately. And at the same time, if you have any questions, please do ask questions to the interviewer, because that actually tells them that you're really interested in the role. If you say I don't have any questions, probably, I mean, given a chance, if there are two candidates neck to neck, I would say the one who asked the questions, he or she may have an advantage. So just prepare yourself for
That's a great point.
that. Okay, thanks.
So moving along your journey from biofusion, you now have moved to UK for ImmTune therapies. Like, can you share some experiences? Like, how was this transition?
I would say it's still early days for me, but I can say the approach and the mindset that I had acquired and learned and believed in sort of pursuing it on a daily basis at Biofusion, I'm still very much sticking to the same principles. Of course, the problem is different, the company vision and the goal is different here. So I have to mold accordingly and work around that, which is I think going to be an ongoing process. But I would say not a drastic change, but yes, because it's a very small team that we have right now. So the responsibilities go up, but that's something I personally enjoy and I really look forward to contribute more.
That's great to know. So I think like from your conversation, from like what I'm getting is like there's few things which are very important when we are looking for a job. Like first of all, we should have a very much like learning attitude and a very collaborative mindset, right? So these are the important things I thought like are good summaries from your conversation. Are there any other factors you feel like is very important apart from the hard skills?
Yeah, I would say I would just add one more. I think thanks. You have also very neatly summarized it with those two keywords. Maybe I'll just add one more is be honest and self-reflect yourself on a regular basis. Because the mindset that you and me are carrying today, 5 years later, we will be in a very different mindset. Our requirements will be different. The field would have moved on. So it's very important to be flexible. I think you had used that word as well in our conversation. So just take out time to self-reflect and ask yourself on a regular basis, is this the thing that I really need to focus on? Is this the thing that I need to work on? Yes, if you think, carry on. But if you think no, you need to take a pause and explore something else, just do that. But do keep be ready to work hard, be ready to learn on a regular basis. At the same time, take out time to self reflect, introspect. It will take you to a very different path altogether.
Yeah, this brings me to a very interesting point. Like when you are talking about all the self introspection, like is there
Yeah.
something you do as a hobby? Sometimes that gives us so much idea. Like what we are doing and what we want to do in life and what we are heading to.
Mhm. I think more than a hobby, I think it comes naturally to me. In fact, in one of the personality workshops, they clearly classified me as a thinker. I think a lot, honestly. I mean, at times maybe overthinking as well. But I like to have data points. I like to assess situations, and ask myself. In fact, I have this regular habit of, writing down my thoughts. I would have say on a day when I'm really like I have too many things to express. I just, jot them down, and then after I finish that, sometimes I feel that I'm going to finish it up in one page. I end up writing more than 20 pages. Can you imagine? And then I see, oh my goodness, these many thoughts I had in my mind. Then when I read it, I really see what I really need. And that really gives me the direction in which I should start, focusing on. So I think I enjoy that. I think it comes naturally to me. And I would urge people, it's never too late. You can always start that and it takes you a long way ahead.
At the
Yeah.
same time, I think one thing like you mentioned that we like to connect with different people. So did you had anyone who mentored you in your career path?
Yeah, very important question. I think I'm really thankful to many of the people. Starting with my family. My parents have been great mentors for me, and then moving on, my school teachers, my at my college where I pursued my zoology. I should mention Dr. Ashtekar, Dr. Veena Rambal, Dr. Hegde, and Dr. Lobo. These were really architects of my they injected optimism into me. I think that has played a huge role in the way I pursue life and career. And then moving on, I was fortunate to work with Dr. Patrick, Dr. Jerry, again, two different types of leaders, but I've learned a lot from them. And of course, in industry, Dr. Narendra Chirmule, he was the ex-R&D head, amazing person to talk to. Dr. Ramki and Dr. Ankur. And I know these people have really influenced me. I really look, to them when I have any doubts or questions, and I really bother them a lot. But they're very, very, been very kind to me throughout, and they've always helped me with that. And of course, there have been many friends across. Maybe I won't have time to mention all their names, but I do look up on every other colleague from whom I can see that I can learn this part. I should do it. So I actually keep on the lookout for different mentors. So to keep it simple, yeah, just like everyone is a mentor with whom I feel that I can learn something.
Yeah, I think this is something you brought up. Like, this is a nice point because most of the times mentor-mentee relationship is mostly discussed in like abroad, but in India also, like we always had that kind of culture where people mentor you. Like, so even like I think it's very important part of a career journey that when someone is getting mentored, they learn even faster.
Yeah, yeah. And the recent experience is my wife. I mean, she's also a mentor to me because she tells me how do you build network, how do you stay in connection with the people you know. She still calls up her school friends almost on a weekly basis. So I think that's a great way of learning. And of course, she teaches me patience. So I'm glad to have alongside me to mentor me in those areas as well.
Yes. Thanks
So
so much, Arvind, for sharing all the information and especially your journey with us. It was great to know about all the steps and especially going through the things. I feel like I learned so much, and even the viewers would learn so much.
Hey, great, great. Thanks, Pushpam, a lot. Thanks for taking out time, and thanks, BioPatrika. This is a great initiative, to exchange our mini experiences because we're not too old, we're not close to retirement, but it is important that we pass on the knowledge to our immediate juniors and help them out in their journey. So it's a great initiative. Good luck, and it was all my pleasure to talk to you and this have this talk show.